Running a little late, ladies and gentlemen, so we'd like to call the meeting to order. Are we on stream? Okay. All right, I'd like to call to meeting the Cuyahoga County Council regular meeting for Tuesday, August 13th, 2013. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Okay, calling the roll. Mr. Germana?
Here.
Mr. Gallagher is absent today. Mr. Schron?
Here.
Ms. Conwell?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Simon? Here. Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Here.
Ms. Conley? There is a quorum.
Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Gallagher, who is unavailable this evening?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Germain. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Please mark Mr. Gallagher's absence as excused. And we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For our moment of silence this evening, I'd like to consider our moment of silence for missing children and adults in our county and around the nation, that they all may return home safely. All right, moving on our agenda to item 5, public comment related to the agenda. Has anyone signed in on the agenda for an item related to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. Linda Meyer, who would like to address one of the charter amendments.
All right, Ms. Meyer?
Hello, I'm Linda Mayer, co-president of the League of Women Voters, Cuyahoga area. With me is also Mrs. Susan Troya of the League of Women Voters of Shaker Heights. I'm speaking for all 3 leagues in the county and additionally for the Transition Advisory Group's Code of Ethics Work Group, which League led and which I chaired. After extensive studies, members of the work group, and then league members as a whole, concluded that a great code of ethics is only as good as its enforcement mechanism. Although we recommended a different mechanism at the time, we now nevertheless congratulate the current county executive and the county council for creating and empowering by ordinance the Inspector General as Chief Ethics Enforcement Officer for the new county government. But over time, however, the commitment of future county executives and councils to the current high standards of ethical government could possibly waver, and ordinances have proven to be quite easy to amend. For those reasons, we believe that an explicit provision is needed now in the Cuyahoga County Charter to mandate the continued existence of the Office of Inspector General. This proposal should be one of those approved by council for placement on this year's November 5th ballot, so that it is patently clear that both the county council and the county executive are fully committed to continuing effective ethics enforcement. To neglect or postpone this recommendation by the Bipartisan Charter Review Commission, which also deemed it necessary after careful study, that would send a blatantly wrong signal to all the voters who in 2009 overwhelmingly rejected the old ways of doing county business. Yes, there are many aspects of the office and operations of the Inspector General position that can and must be managed by ordinance. But the basic structure of the Inspector General position needs to be a part of charter language, along with affirmative statements about its purpose, its independence, and its basic responsibilities. We note with regret that you have already removed most of the specifics from the Charter Commission's recommendation, and thus we urge you in the time remaining before August 27th deadline to restore brief but essential provisions defining the Inspector General's position. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address you this afternoon, and League members look forward to the opportunity to vote on the Charter Review Commission's recommended Inspector General amendment in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Anyone else sign in?
Madam Chair, none that have signed in to speak regarding the agenda items.
All right. Moving on to item 6, approval of the minutes. The minutes of the regular meeting of July 23rd, 2013 are in your packet on page 16, and the minutes of the Committee of the Whole of July 24th are also available in your packet on page 42. So if you had an opportunity to review those minutes, we'll entertain a motion to adopt them as circulated.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I have a couple of matters I'd like to discuss. I have been contacted by the presiding judges of the judges who occupy the Lakeside Courthouse, the Court of Appeals, the Probate Court, and the Court of Domestic Relation. They have some very serious concerns about the parking situation in Huntington Garage. Their primary concern is that a decision was made regarding the allocation of parking spots in the Huntington Garage without consultation with them. A decision was made to designate certain parking areas for the use of the Global Center and the Convention Center events. While this is very positive for the users of those facilities, it also has a serious ripple effect on the parking for the Lakeside Courthouse. On given days, the surface lot in the back of the building is designated for those users other than employees and people coming to the Lakeside Courthouse. As we all know, the Lakeside Courthouse is an extremely busy place. In courts like the Domestic Relations Courts and the Probate Court, people come with very emotional and complicated issues: divorces, adoptions, guardianships, wills. They also involve a large number of witnesses and family members. These individuals coming to the courthouse do not need additional stress to be placed on them with complicated parking issues. As the judges point out, these are issues relating to the access to justice. They also affect people who come on jury duty, witnesses, attorneys, people who come get marriage license, and other issues. So I'd like to hear from the Public Works Department a complete update on how that decision was made to allocate those parking spaces, whether or not the judges were consulted, and when these aforementioned matters were decided. So I think hopefully they'll get together with Bonnie and we can meet with the judges and deal with them, because they're saying that there is insufficient parking for their employees. And as I said, having worked in that courthouse, there are lots of people who come there and they don't need the additional stress. And as a former judge, people get there late and you have to recall their case and recall the capias, and it gets really complicated. So we look forward to working with Ms. T1 on that. Secondly, yesterday I had an opportunity to attend the press conference that Mr. Fitzgerald held along with Mr. Miller and Mr. Greenspan about the new investment plan for the county's investment portfolio. Essentially, this plan takes part of the county's investment portfolio and provides for loans to local community. The communities will get a lower interest rate on their loans, and the county will make additional funds. These loans would support the construction of infrastructure projects. The advantage of these loans is that the county will provide accessible and low-interest loans to finance much-needed projects, and at the same time receive a higher rate of interest than the county currently gets in the bond market. The county would be improved by having better bridges, roads, and other facilities. The need for such projects and particularly in the inner ring suburbs, have been voiced by this council, especially by Ms. Simon, who made her point in the recent op-ed piece in the Sun Press, where she indicated her desire to have casino funds used for some of these projects. While I believe that Mr. Fitzgerald's proposal is worthwhile and worthy for our consideration, council needs a great deal more information before it can give its unqualified support. We first learned of this proposal when the press conference was announced. We recognize that the ultimate decision will be made by the Investment Advisory Committee, a charter-created board made up of the county executive and the treasurer, who is appointed by the county executive, and one member of council, who is Mr. Schran. So the executive has essentially control of that committee. However, proper legislative oversight requires council to obtain more information regarding the process and requirements of making these loans. Preservation of the principle of the county's investment portfolio is the main concern of this body. It is one of our primary assets. Council wants to be assured that there are proper safeguards in place so that citizens of this county will know that their money is safe. I, for one, want to make sure that these loans are made in a fair and equitable manner so that all cities may have an opportunity to share in the process. As a result, I have conferred with Finance Chair Miller, and I want to refer this matter to the Finance Committee and ask that within the next 30 days we have a presentation from the administration before the Finance Committee. In addition, Mr. Schran, who is council representative on the Investment Advisory Committee, will be a key person in this discussion. And before I close, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Mr. Schran for some additional comments.
Madam President, my comments would be that we did discuss this at the last Investment Committee meeting in as far as a concept, and I think that that's what we're looking into. I know that Mr. Parks, I raised some points, and so I think that there's certainly, I'm wholeheartedly in favor of the concept, the idea behind it. I have spoken with some other folks that are doing this in the state of Ohio. The county commissioners down in, I think it's Madison, and they can't say enough nice things and good things about it as far as its positive impact. Just like a lot of good ideas that we want to just make sure we get all the details correct so that we got the I's dotted and T's crossed as far as our risk and exposure and things of that nature. But I think it's got a lot of merit, and we did discuss it in the Investment Advisory Committee as a concept out there.
Okay, so we look forward to getting that update at the Finance Committee in the near future. All right, and that concludes my remarks. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you. First of all, as to that item or matter, Madam President, I have to correct you somewhat. The first time it was discussed with council was right here from this microphone over a month ago, where I notified council that we were looking at this. We're still looking at it. The press conference was scheduled on Friday, and council staff was notified at the same time, basically contemporaneously of us making the decision. So we didn't have to notify council over a month ago, but I thought that we should at least put it out there to say that this is something that we're considering. So that's why I mentioned it in my comments to council last month, actually. The discussion that we've had with both mayors and finance directors over the last few weeks was we didn't want to impose a program without knowing whether or not there's really going to be a need for the program itself. And those discussions came out of actually, and I do want to give some credit to Councilwoman Simon, in these ongoing discussions that we've had about whether or not casino funds should be spent downtown or the way that the $100 million fund proceeds should be spent. There's been this ongoing discussion about how much should be the focus of downtown and how much should be focused on our suburban communities, particularly inner ring suburbs. Why do I say that? Because they are the ones that are really having a tough time right now, not only because state funds have been cut or because their income taxes have been flat at best sometimes, or because their property taxes have fallen, but the property taxes have fallen so precipitously that for some of these communities you're talking about 25% drops in their property valuations. Now, what that's really affected is their whole bonding capacity. So we're talking about basic infrastructure projects and needs that are going unmet. And that's not in the county's best interest as a whole. It's bad for those individual suburbs, but it's also bad for the county as a whole. The good news is what we've heard back from those communities as this discussion, and it is an ongoing discussion. There's not a single loan or loan product that's been let out to date, is that there is a real need and desire for this. Now, what is the niche that we're filling here? Well, basically, a lot of these communities are loaning or trying to borrow money when they can, because as I said, some of them have exhausted their borrowing capacity because of declining property values. But some of them are borrowing money at 3.5%. We're getting a return on our investments of sometimes only about 1% because we're mandated under our investment guidelines to really having pretty safe and secure and conservative investments, which usually end up being treasury bills. We have approximately an $800 million pool of funds that we can invest. And again, most of those are in government-backed securities, almost without exception. And that's the way it should be, because they should be conservative investments. Under our current guidelines, which have been adopted by the Investment Advisory Committee, which has always, since the institution of the new form of government, had a county representative on it, or county council representative on it. Before it was Councilman Sharon, it was Councilman Miller. And Councilman Miller and I have sat on that along with the county treasurer. So it's basically a 3-member board. And we have voted unanimously on a couple of occasions, as Councilman Miller could tell you, on what the guidelines should be in terms of loaning this money out. Even under existing guidelines, without any changes whatsoever in our policies, we could loan out approximately 10% of the $800 million, which would be $80 million. Now, so far in the discussion that we've had with these communities, we could represent to you fairly, I think, accurately that there's been about $23 million of potential projects that some of these communities think that they may want to apply for. But it is totally appropriate to have a discussion about the way that we would be investing, and we're certainly happy to do that because it's a program that's been successful in the rest of the country, and it's a way for us, I think, to kind of bind the county together economically in a way that's also responsible for the county. So I'm happy to do that. But it is not accurate to say that council was never given any information until Friday, because it's not correct, because as the minutes would show, I spoke about it sitting from this seat at this microphone over a month ago. The only other matters that I wanted to mention, one is you mentioned the parking situation. We're certainly willing to sit down with the court, and we'll talk to Public Works, and we're certainly willing to work with them. And your concerns on that are taken very seriously. And then lastly, I just wanted to associate myself with the remarks from Linda Mayer from the League of Women Voters. We're in complete agreement. And as I've said before, I do believe that it's important for us to kind of enshrine this concept of an inspector general as one of our core organizing principles that should be reflected in our charter. And I've said that before, and I agree with the comments that were made here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9, consideration of a motion of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Motion number 2013-0025, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of David Crampton to serve on the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective.
This matter referred to Human Resources. Item 10, committee reports and consideration of motions of council for second reading, adoption or suspension of the rule. These matters have been on for first reading. They have been referred to committee. They've been referred out of committee. So we need a motion pursuant to 9D to waive the final reading. Mr. Miller?
Madam President, I move to suspend Rule 9D with respect to the items under Agenda Item 10.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Germain. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Madam Clerk.
Motion number 2013-0022, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of various individuals to serve on the Cuyahoga County Department Review Board and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective for the individuals as printed on the agenda items 10A 1 through 3.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Rogers. Ms. Conwell, did you have any discussion on that?
Yes, Madam Chair, this Historical Review Board Will review decisions rendered by the Cuyahoga County Inspector General concerning contracts who seek to perform work on behalf of Cuyahoga County. And this committee asks for passage of this motion from the Committee of the Whole.
All right, any other questions, discussion? All's in-
Madam President, actually, one question. I am in support of these candidates, but I did have one question. How many applicants were there for these positions?
It was only 4 for this particular board, and that is a problem out there regarding the county. Our committee kind of feels that everybody that presents themselves in front of the committee, well, should have a chance to present themselves in front of the committee because they're serving Cuyahoga County residents. But on the other hand, there's been a lack of people reaching out to serve, so to speak, for Cuyahoga County. And Jim Boyle has been going around the county, as well as I would commend some of the council members if you would do that in your districts, because there are some various boards and commissions that have open seats, but nobody is signing up to do that.
If I may, just briefly, and I appreciate the comment, Councilwoman, and the question, Councilman Jones. As kind of the hue and cry of the new government has died down, we have found that there is less willingness, I think, for people to actually volunteer their time, and the people that are going to serve on this board are going to have to volunteer, and at least at the outset, I would guess a significant amount of time to serve on this body. And so, more than anything else, we're looking for people that want to serve their county, that want to get involved and want to be in the process. And sometimes there's more applicants than others, but obviously we're interested in as many people are willing to apply and be involved in the process.
Well, as I said before, I wholeheartedly support these candidates for stepping up and doing their civic duty, and again, I support them 100%. But we know the corruption scandal we've seen and all that has gone on in the past, and this review board has an opportunity to make changes, not in what has happened in the past, but to deal with what's going on in the future, and for the community to have not stepped up, and maybe as our responsibility to have maybe even done a better job of putting that word out for the opportunities that are here. I just wanted to have that on the record, and but again, I support these applicants and candidates wholeheartedly, and I look forward to them doing an excellent job in this position.
Madam President?
Yes, Mr. Schreiner.
Boyle's up there, just for reference to these 3 individuals, or these 3 positions more than the individuals. Are these folks all bonded? Because this is the first debarment, and it'll get sticky. I have a feeling when we start pulling the plug on some businesses. And are we comfortable we've given them the proper assurances and coverage that we should be stepping forward with?
It's difficult for me to answer that from the standpoint of being on the other side of the equation, but I do expect that, and again, I apologize, I wasn't at the meeting when these folks presented, but the expectation is that within 30 days that we'll be able to have this body up and running. I think the Councilwoman, that's what the comments were. With that in mind, that was one of the comments that we had, and I have an opportunity to speak to the law director about that and some other issues, and I do think that we're going to make sure that the folks that are on here, obviously they've reviewed the ordinance and the ethics ordinance as well as the debarment ordinance with that aspect, but in terms of the bonding aspects, that's certainly something that they're going to have to take into consideration.
I just, as a county resident, we can't expect them to step up to this position without having the coverage in place.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. Ms. Simon, do you have something? Yes, Ms.
I just want to say, and I don't mean to correct the chair, but I thought we had a plethora of applicants for this particular board, and they came out of the young professionals. There were a bunch of attorneys. So that's one area where I've seen an influx of applicants coming from Will Tarter's efforts with that particular group. So I think it's getting better, but I think you're right. We need to get into the different groups on the ground to get the word out. But there are a lot of attorneys, and they're eager to serve as a pro bono. It's really nice, actually.
Were there any applicants from the construction industry or retired, those with?
Jim wasn't at committee, but I was told that there was.
How long are these terms?
They are staggered
They're
terms,
staggered
and
terms.
it should be in the ordinance itself. And in a previous request from Councilwoman Conwell, she had requested, and I put the memo together to the council staff as well as to Councilwoman Conwell, and I believe attached to that were the individuals that applied. The comments from Councilwoman Simon are accurate. I don't know what the exact number were, but I believe I included all the people that applied. And I did reach out to the folks from the Young Professionals Group because they did have an interest in serving, and also this was a body that we knew just by the time frame and the newness of this enterprise that we had to get this up and running. We couldn't wait for the perfect candidates necessarily. We needed people that were willing to step up, that had the ability and the desire to do this right now. I believe that the ordinance itself calls for the 3 individuals to serve
Mr. Cox's term expires on January 31st, 2018. Mr. DeMonte expires 2017, and Mr. Bryan expires 2016.
Yeah, and that should, I believe, in the conversations I've had with the council staff and the clerk, that I assume that's incorporated into the language of the ordinance.
And then the board is made up of the fiscal officer, a member of council, and then the 3 residents, so it'll be a
Correct.
5-person
Yes.
board.
And my final question, was there any interest or outreach, maybe interest from the construction industry that they've been disproportionately affected by the corruption scandal?
They have, and what we...
Civic-minded
if you
candidates from this arena.
If you review the contents of the language that created the debarment ordinance itself, it specifically outlined some of the, it requested people, I think, with either accounting or legal backgrounds, and so those were the skill sets that we initially looked at. Again, all of the boards and commissions positions are publicly posted. Periodically, we do a blast from our Twitter and Facebook accounts, and again, we accept applicants from whatever. They can mail them in, they can call them in, whatever the situation is. As it relates to specifically whether there was outreach to the construction industry, none that I'm aware of, and to that extent, I'm not sure whether anyone else did from the agencies that we reached out. For example, with the Young Professionals, whether they reached out or one of the Legal Bar Association or anyone else did, I can't answer that.
Did I understand that you said that your parameters were you had to deal with only those with legal
Those are
experience?
recommendations. I apologize. Those are recommendations, not mandates in the ordinance itself, yes.
So there was no outreach beyond the legal arena?
I didn't speak to any folks from the construction industry. The folks that I look for, as indicated in there, were for individuals with legal and I think accounting background is what's outlined in the ordinance itself.
If I may, just one quick clarification about the board itself, not the, just about how, when we created the board. Keep in mind what the board is. The board is an appellate body, basically. The debarment doesn't happen by this board. The debarment happens by the Inspector General, and then you appeal the Inspector General's decision to the Debarment Review Board. So they basically are a review board over the Inspector General, and then from their decision, any debarred entity can always debar to the appeal to the Court of Common Pleas under Chapter 2506 of the Ohio Revised Code. So they're a step in the process of a long process that includes appellate review. One of the issues when the ordinance was being considered by council was we knew that this was going to be a very tricky board to get people appointed on it because of the conflict issues. If you have lawyers, their firms want to represent the contractors that we're debarring. If you have people in the construction industry and you're debarring somebody from the construction industry, you could have people making decisions on their competitors. So that was a very tricky board, and we tried to have some criteria that was almost generic, but sort of wanted to make sure that there was some modicum of qualifications for the people that are serving on that board to avoid conflict.
I just have a suggestion, Madam Clerk. From now on, when we put these names down, why don't we just put their name and then term and ending and the date?
Term ending?
Yeah, so we'll know, how long the people will be serving.
That's why I qualified it with retired. Retired.
For the conflict issue, yeah, no, understood.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other discussion on these?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just want to say that, I sat in on these confirmation hearings. These gentlemen are very qualified. So, this conversation is as to how many applied. We have quality candidates here. And, of course, Mr. Gallagher couldn't defend this because he's not here, but we kind of quipped that hopefully this is not going to be a busy a busy committee because, you know, it's a new day in Cuyahoga County. I think all the vendors have got to go through a training and so on, so that they know that we're running a tight ship. Hopefully, there is not going to be, once somebody gets debarred, they're not going to be appealing it because we're probably going to have great facts. So I just want to reaffirm that these are quality candidates that came forward.
Any other discussion on this matter? All right, all of those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulate Mr. Cox, Mr. Demonte, and Mr. Byron. Item 0023.
Motion number 2013-0023, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of various individuals to serve on the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County, and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective for the individuals as printed on the agenda, item 10B, 1 and 2.
Mr. Kilpack, Steve Kilpack, his term expires June 30th, 2016. Eileen Saffron expires June 30th, 2017. Is there a motion?
To adopt.
All right, moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Germana. Any discussion on these individuals?
Madam Chair, this motion will fill 2 vacancies on the Adams Board. Both appointees are committed in following the meeting requirements of the board and of the state of Ohio. There are several meetings that they are mandated to meet, and committee asks for passage of this motion from the Committee of the Whole.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations to Mr. Kilpack and Ms. Saffron. And item 0024.
Motion number 2013-0024, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of various individuals to serve on the Cuyahoga Regional HIV Health Services Planning Council, and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective for the individuals as printed on the agenda, items 10C 1 through 10.
All of these individuals be serving until July 2016.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Germana. Any discussion on these individuals?
Madam Chair, this committee asks for passage of this motion from the Committee of the Whole. Each appointee that came before the committee passionately shared their commitment to serve on this planning council. And not all, I believe it was 10, not all 10 were able to attend, and some of the other motions that were before us this evening. This is another good reason why I feel the charter amendment to extend the 60 days is really potentially needed, because we have short notification time that we can give these individuals to come and appear before us, because many of them have other responsibilities in their life. So the 60 days would really help not only administration, council, but as well as the individuals that are committed to serve.
Yeah, particularly in time, like in the summertime, we have people on vacation, your committee doesn't meet as often, so it does cause a strain. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations to these individuals. Item 11, committee reports and consideration of resolution of councils for second reading. The following items are proposed charter amendments that were submitted by council. In many cases, these amendments to the charter were recommended by the Charter Review Commission, but council was unable to alter those in any way. So in a sense, several of these are substitutes for the original recommendations by the Charter Review Commission, because as I said, we couldn't change them. They are on for second reading. There will be no action. I believe there will be some substitutions, but at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion pursuant to Rule 9C so that they can be read by short title only, and they will all be moved to August the 27th when we hear all of the charter amendments. But we'll entertain a motion pursuant to 9C for items A through F.
I so move.
All right, moved and seconded to read by short title only. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right. Ms. Schmutzer.
Resolution number 2013-0158, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 2, Section 2.0312, and Article 9, Sections 9.01 through 9.05, and to add Section 9.06.
I believe there's going to be a substitute for this.
Madam Chair, I would like to introduce a prepared substitute for this resolution. And
Circulated.
I believe so. And the changes are clarifying language requested by the Law Department. Three things. One, to grandfather current HRC commissioners. And number two, ensuring that the HRC makes policies consistent with ordinances. And number three, allowing the county to create broader system of classified employees than those under general law. And any questions regarding these changes, the Law Department will gladly answer because they're changes.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'll second the motion to substitute.
Okay, any discussion on the substitute? All right, all those in favor of the substitute motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the substitute will replace the existing motion. So this will just be passed for a third reading on the 27th.
Resolution number 2013-0159, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 2, Section 2.032. Resolution number 2013-0160, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of amendments to Article 4, Section 4.01, and Article 5, Section 5.06.
This, I believe there's a substitute on this, Ms. Simon?
Madam President, there is a substitution proposal that's in front of everybody in writing, which simply clarifies the already evident mandate that any retention of outside counsel go through our contracting purchasing ordinance, but this just reiterates that, and it just clarifies that that's how that would happen.
All right, moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Demana to substitute the,
Madam Chair,
yes.
is this the right resolution on which you're making the amendment? Oh, you went to 160 right away. Sorry, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Moku. This is a very complicated process, so.
I thought you were on 159.
No,
That's
we already did one. So we're on the right one. Okay, all those in favor of the substitute indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, so the substitute will replace the one as printed in the agenda. Okay, now, I think the rest, Ms. Schmutzer can read.
Resolution number 2013-0161, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 12, Section 12.09. Resolution number 2013-0162, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 5, Section 5.01 and Section 5.08. And resolution number 2013-0164, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment adding Article 14, Section 14.01.
All right, all these will be on for the 27th. Item 12, consideration of a resolution of council for third reading adoption.
Resolution number 2013-0127, a resolution directing the county executive to develop and propose a program to encourage environmentally and economically efficient employee transportation and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Rogers. This matter has been to committee. This was my proposed resolution, and we anticipate regarding transportation to give an additional encouragement to people, employees, to take public transportation. And so we anticipate that the administration will come back with a plan for us in the next 60 days. And our staff has worked on this, so we're certainly willing to cooperate with the administration and give whatever input we have. But we look forward to lots of people taking public transportation, and it'll save their other problem with the parking, so. Oh, all right, so we got to vote on this. Is there any other questions or discussions?
Could I have my name added to this?
Yeah, Mr. Brady, please. Mr. What? Miller moved it and Rogers seconded. We got to vote on it, though. Mr. Rogers? That's why I write all this stuff down. All right, any other discussion?
Chair, can you clarify who was asking for additional
Brady and
sponsorship?
Rogers.
Brady and Rogers? Thank you.
All right, any other question, discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We look forward to a plan, and we get everybody taking the bus and walking a little bit more. Item 13, consideration of a resolution of council for third reading with recommendations to be placed on the ballot. I got so many notes I can't read them. These are all of the items that will be moved to the agenda for the 27th, is that right? Okay, so we will consider all of the charter amendments on the 27th. So do we need to make another motion to read these by title, or do we need to read them at all?
Madam Chair, I believe the procedure would be a parliamentary motion to defer items 13A through G to the August 27th meeting agenda for third reading.
Okay, I so move.
Second.
All right, so do you understand all of these? We're making a motion to defer all these that are on for third reading tonight, that we'll refer them to the next meeting. Okay, so all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and we'll consider all these at the next meeting.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like to have my name added as a co-sponsor for Resolution 2013-0136 and 0137, the first two of the ones that we just
Okay.
deferred.
Okay, item 14, consideration of resolution of council for third reading with recommendations not to place on the ballot. These items were some of the ones that, or the ones that council voted in committee not to place on the ballot. Some of them, as I indicated before, have been replaced because we couldn't change the ones that were submitted. So we will have a vote on each one of these. So the question is, do you want to vote to place the item as proposed on the ballot? A no vote would confirm the recommendation of the Committee of Whole that the item would not be placed on the ballot. A yes vote would be that to vote against it and wish to put it on the ballot. Is that correct?
You have to be very, just make sure, whichever way you make it, you make sure that the motion is very clear as to what
Right.
you're.
So if you vote, a no vote will be to
So
confirm
the
the
motion is not
recommendation.
to place it on the
Right.
ballot.
Right, the motion needs to be defeated.
Right. Because on the
That's
Committee of
what
the
I was
Whole,
going to
we
say. Probably
voted
the
not
easiest
to.
thing is, I would recommend just have a motion to place it on the ballot and vote it no, and then this
That's
way,
right.
that's the cleanest way out.
Okay.
Aren't some of those amended, Madam Chair?
I don't think any of these are amended.
Because they all were,
No, these are all that were submitted by the Charter Review Commission that cannot be amended.
Ones reported by the Charter Review Commission that we voted not to go forward on.
and then there were some amendments.
Some were resurrected in a different format,
Right.
which, yeah.
But we still logistically have to say no.
Right. To these, because we couldn't amend them. And they've been, like, that's a good term, they've been resurrected in other charter items that we'll all hear on the 27th. Okay? And there's been, one of our staff, Joanne Gross, did a analysis of all these, which have been circulated, and that giving an opportunity to review each one of them. Okay?
So just, yeah, so the motion is to place, and then if you don't want it to go on the ballot, say no.
And I think we should take a roll call on each one of these.
That's your choice. Yeah.
Okay. You don't think we need a roll call? No, okay. I get lots of winks, no, okay. All right, let's go on then to item, we would then also need a motion pursuant to 9C to read as to title only.
I so move.
All right, moved by Mr. Strawn, seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of reading the item by title only indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, let's start with 0133.
Resolution number 2013-0133, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 2, Section 2.032, and this is regarding the appointment authority of the executive.
I move we place this on the ballot.
Second.
All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed?
No.
Okay. Item 0134.
I move we place this item, we haven't read it yet.
Resolution number
You're mini-reading it.
2013-0134, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 3, Section 3.09, and this is in regards to campaign finance laws.
I move we place this on the ballot.
All right, moved by Mr. Schron and seconded by Mr. Rogers. All those.
Madam President, a comment on
Okay.
this while I'm going to support the recommendation and not place this on the ballot this year, I do believe that we need to pass a campaign finance law and that perhaps at some point that this should be placed on the ballot. And I would just point out that one of the problems with the exact language that we have here is that in addition to requiring campaign finance law, it also takes all of the items that are currently the council's powers and changes them to be council's powers and duties. And for example, there's one of our powers which is to develop cooperative agreements with other subdivisions and other governments, and that might read like we have a duty to enter into every agreement. So I think the language as presented is not workable, but we do need further work on this. Thank you.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm going to be voting against putting this on a ballot. And again, I'm not against enacting campaign finance laws, but I think in our discussions, it came up consistently that we didn't think that it should be council. Council shouldn't be making recommendations. So for that reason, I'm voting no.
Mr. Rogers, then
I'm sorry, Mr. Rogers.
I'll be voting to put this on. However, I do acknowledge that there are some flaws in the language of the resolution. But I do hope that we come back and revisit this issue. I think it's an important issue that we need to deal with, but there does need to be some more work on how we actually come to an agreement on what the campaign finance rule should be.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Greenspan?
As one who brought this proposal forward 2 years ago in committee, I strongly support, obviously, the concept of campaign finance. This, as written, would just give us the responsibility to create a campaign finance program for ourselves. So I'll be supporting this to place it on the ballot.
And Ms. Simon?
Chair, I'm going to reiterate my position that until one day this campaign finance ordinance would apply to all members of our community, including those who can self-fund without limitation, I'm not going to be able to support anything unless we can have an assurance of equity across the board instead of empowering those with unlimited resources to have unlimited funding of their own campaign. There's an inherent disparity here, which is going to totally make our playing field unequal to the 1%.
Person.
Yes.
I agree with Councilwoman Simon.
All right, any other question, discussion?
President, for clarity, I will not be supporting this to be placed on the ballot either. And I want clarification, which vote is a yes or no to not place it on the ballot?
A yes would put it on the ballot. A no would not put it on the ballot. So all those in favor of putting it on the ballot indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
So,
Roll call.
yeah, let's do a roll call.
Okay, the motion is to place it on the ballot, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we will start with Mr. Germana.
No.
Mr. Schron.
No.
Ms. Conwell.
No.
Mr. Jones.
No.
Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Ms. Simon? Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Brady?
No.
And Ms. Conley? The motion is defeated.
Okay, this item will not be placed on the ballot. Okay, item 0135.
Just bear with me 1 second, please. Okay, resolution number 2013-0135, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 5, Section 5.01, and this is in regarding requiring the executive to solicit advice when appointing the clerk of courts.
Will be placed on the ballot?
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Brady. All right, any discussion on this item? All right, all those in favor of placing this item on the ballot indicate by saying aye. All those opposed to putting it on the ballot indicate by saying no.
No.
Okay, noes carried, that it goes down, will not be placed on the ballot. Item 0138.
Resolution number 2013-0138, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment adding Article 14, Section 14.01, and this is in regards to the Agency of Inspector General.
Will be placed this on the ballot?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion on this item?
Madam President.
Yes.
I believe that at some point we should have Inspector General language included in the charter. But at this point, we do not have a consensus on the degree of specificity and exactly what items should go into the charter and what items can be handled by ordinance.
I'd like to concur with Mr. Miller. I believe that the agency of the Inspector General is very important. We had a report from the Inspector General yesterday morning, but I think that this agency needs to continue to operate. I think that we need to work out some of the nuts and bolts of the agency. This is an agency that costs the county approximately $1 million a year. They do some very, very wonderful work. But I think before we ensconce something into the charter, we need to have a lot more detail. So we have no intention of altering the job of the Inspector General. I just don't think it's time to put it on the charter yet. Yes, Mr. Germano?
Madam Chair, this is one of these resolutions that has a substitute in the form of Resolution 2013-01664. So the item of Inspector General is still have the opportunity to be on the ballot if we vote this particular one down.
Yeah, and I think one of the problems with this one, it's kind of, it's very, very lengthy. And the members of council had concerns about the length of the ordinance. They thought it could be considered in a more concise manner. Yes, Mr. Schrein.
Yes, and I agree with Mr. Germano. I will be voting down on, voting this one not go on the ballot, but I will be voting on the other one that Mr. Germano referenced, because I agree with Linda Mayer and the council, the county executive, that we need to codify this and need to codify it this year. And I think it rises to the occasion where it should be one of the ones we put on the ballot. So I hope.
Revisit it again.
When we revisit it at the end of the month, in 2 weeks, I will be voting for that.
Anybody else? Mr. Greenspan?
Yeah, great, thank you. I know during committee, over the last few years, we've had significant discussion over this, and the purpose and intent is, as one who sponsored the original Inspector General ordinance and compiled, and, you know, to Mr. Mayor's husband's disdain when she burned her dinner, talking to me one time on the phone as we were working through this a few years ago. This, unfortunately, by nature of an Inspector General, requires somewhat specific legislation to encapsulate the specific duties of an Inspector General. If you look at other states that have enacted in other counties, their legislation, whether by charter or by state law, is rather lengthy. I think it's just the nature of the beast. I'll be supporting this specifically as one who originally presented it, but it also encapsulates a lot of the details that will need to be addressed at some point via charter amendment. I believe this moves the item down the legislative path enough. However, I understand there's not support for this one. I will, if this does not pass, I will be still supporting the shorter version so that we can at least codify our intent to enact and create an independent agency of the Inspector General. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Oh, thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, I was uncomfortable with the version as presented here, 0138, because of some of the complexity of the funding issues, which couldn't be accurately or consistently set forth from our council. But I'll consider the brief version, which is very, very brief.
All right, all those in favor of indicating, of placing this ballot item on the ballot, say aye.
Aye.
So that'd be Mr.
Just one eye.
Just one eye? Aye. And those opposed?
No.
All right, item 0141.
Resolution number 2013-0141, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of amendments to Article 4, Section 4.01, and Article 5, Section 5.06, and this is in regarding the allocating of legal duties between the prosecutor and director of law.
Will we place this on the ballot?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Strong. Who said, Mr. Miller? This item has been replaced by another item that will be up for consideration on the 27th. So council had a problem with the wording of this particular item, so we have replaced it with another one. And in a lot of our last meetings, we had some meaningful discussions about a possible resolution of this. So this is a work in progress. Any other comments on this? In fact, that was the one Ms. Simon substituted this evening.
Just substituted it.
All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed?
No.
All right. Item 0142.
Resolution number 2013-0142, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 12, Section 12.09, and this is in regards to the Charter Review Commission.
Will we place it on the ballot?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion on this item?
Madam President?
Yes.
There is also a replacement on this item that's up at the next meeting, and I would comment that the problems with this version were only technical in nature, and that the replacement version is exactly the same conceptually as what the Charter Review Commission had in mind.
Okay. And this is one of those items that it doesn't come into effect for another 10 years. So if we consider the number of items that we have to place on the ballot, this is something that is not necessarily time sensitive. So.
Right.
All those in favor, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of placing this item on the ballot? Opposed?
No.
All right, item 0146.
Resolution number 2013-0146, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 5, Section 5.01 and Section 5.08, and this is regarding the county sheriff.
Place this on the ballot?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Schrein, seconded by Mr. Miller. This is one I believe was replaced by another item. So once again, there was some problems with the wording and some various items. So this will still be up for the issue will be up for consideration on the 27th as to placing this whole concept on the ballot. Any other questions or discussions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed?
No.
Item 0147.
Resolution number 2013-0147, a resolution providing for the submission to the electors of an amendment to Article 2, Section 2.0312, and Article 9, Sections 9.01 through 9.05, and to add Section 9.06. This is in regards to the Human Resource Commission and Director of Human Resources.
Will be placed on the ballot?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Miller. Again, this is one of the items, I believe we placed a substitute, we voted on a substitute on this earlier this evening, so this matter in concept will be up for review to go on the ballot, but in a different form. Any other questions or discussions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Right,
Okay, so all those opposed indicate by saying no.
No.
Okay. All right.
You need
Through
8
that
votes
hurdle.
to place it anyhow.
What?
You need 8 votes to be able to place it on the ballot anyhow.
Okay, all right. All right, item 15, consideration of an ordinance of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Ordinance number 2013-0019, an ordinance amending section 704.01 to 704.03 of the Cuyahoga County Code to designate that the additional DTAC fee commence on January 1st, 2014 and continue through December 31st, 2018, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
This matter referred to the Finance and Budget Committee. Yes. Add Mr. Brady's name, please.
Madam President, I would like my name added as well.
All right, item 16, consideration of a resolution of council for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules. You go ahead and read it.
Madam President?
Yes.
This is one that has a number of significant items in it, and you recommended that it be referred to committee, and I support that action, so we're not going to move to suspend the rules on this item.
That's correct. Yeah, Mr. Miller actually raised a number of questions, and a couple of our staff people raised some questions because these are out of the ordinary changes in appropriation. Do we still need to read this, Ms. Schmatzer?
Yes, Madam Chairperson, it would be the first reading.
Okay.
Resolution number 2013-0175, a resolution amending the 2012-2013 biennial operating budget for 2013 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts, and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
All right, this matter is referred to Finance and Budget. Item 17, consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2. Are the microphones still on? Okay. Resolution number 2013-0176, a resolution authorizing a contract with Alliance Soccer Dome in the amount of $54,750 for lease of parking spaces located at 6060 West Canal Road, Valley View, for the period November 15, 2012 through November 14, 2015, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0177, a resolution making an award on requisition number 534 to Everlasting Baptist Church in the amount of $100,000 for sale of the Glenville NFSC building located at 12212 St. Clair Avenue, Cleveland, authorizing the county executive to take all necessary actions and to execute all documents necessary to consummate the contemplated transaction, authorizing the Director of Public Works to administer the project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
The matter goes to Public Works.
Resolution
Madam
number...
President, can you add my name to that one?
Rogers, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Resolution number 2013-0178, a resolution making an award on requisition number 24534 to Olmsted Township Board of Trustees in the amount of $85,000 for sale of the Brentwood Development Site located at 8544 Usher Road, Olmsted Township, authorizing the county executive to take all necessary actions and to execute all documents necessary to consummate the contemplated transaction, authorizing the Director of Public Works to administer the project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0179, a resolution making an award on requisition number 24534 to Weston Incorporated in the total amount of $3,420,000 for the sale of various county buildings, authorizing leases in connection with said sale, authorizing the county executive to take all necessary actions and to execute all documents necessary to consummate the contemplated transactions, authorizing the Director of Public Works to administer the projects, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the dollar amounts of the leases with various buildings as printed on the agenda as items D 1 through 3.
These items are really very, very important sales and leasebacks. They involve the Marion Building for a period of sale, of ultimate sale with a leaseback, the Superior Auto Title Building, and also the Hamilton Garage over on St. Clair. So as a result, and because of the dollar amount, I'm going to refer this to a committee of the whole, and we'll set up a meeting so that all the details can be brought in for the committee of the whole.
Resolution number 2013-0180, a resolution authorizing an agreement with State of Ohio Office of the Auditor in the amount not to exceed $647,800 for an annual audit for calendar year 2012 for the period April 30, 2013 through December 31, 2013, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to finance and budget. I always have a problem. They come and audit us, and we still got to pay them, but.
Resolution number 2013-0181, a resolution making an award on requisition number 28277 to the Salvation Army in the amount of $527,499 for the past transitional housing program in connection with the fiscal year 2012 Continuum of Care Homeless Assistance Grant Programs and the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act for the period October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2014. Authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2013-0182, a resolution making an award on requisition number 27041 to Rest Care Workforce Services in the amount not to exceed $992,237 for a work experience program for Ohio Works First Cash recipients for the period October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2014, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
That goes to Health and Human Services.
And resolution number 2013-0183, a resolution authorizing amendments to contracts with various providers for placement services for the period October 1, 2011 through December 31, 2013, to change the scope of services and the terms effective July 1, 2013, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendments and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the contract numbers, providers, and additional information is printed on the agenda, items H, 1, and 2.
Ms. Gatter goes to Health and Human Services. Item 18, committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading, adoption, or suspension of the rules. These matters have gone to the various committees, and we entertain a motion pursuant to 9D to waive the third reading of the items.
Madam President, I move to suspend Rule 9D with respect to the items under agenda item number 18.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Germana. Any discussion on the suspension of the rules? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Item 0168.
Resolution number 2013-0168, a resolution authorizing the appropriation of real property in connection with right-of-way plans for replacement of Bel Air Road Bridge number 24 over Big Creek and replacement of West 130th Street Bridge number 64 over a branch of Big Creek in the city of Cleveland and village of Lindale, directing the county executive to proceed with the acquisition of real property required for public highway purposes, authorizing the fiscal fiscal officer to issue the monetary warrant to be deposited with the probate court of Cuyahoga County in an amount that is equal to the fair market value of the property, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the parcel owner and approved appraisal fair market value estimate as printed on the agenda.
Move to adopt.
All right, moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by, was that Mr. Germana first? Okay, Mr. Jones, did you have any discussion on this?
Madam President, this resolution provides the administration with the necessary authorization to make right-of-way acquisitions on the property near the Bel Air Road Bridge. Now, this property is owned by Clear Channel, and they have signage revenue maker, and they have a concern that they be insured in the event something should happen to their signage. They're looking for an identification clause. Now, because this is a federal project, the county can't simply do that, so we are authorizing them to move forward. The money will be placed in escrow until a negotiation can be worked out in court. So I move that we allow the administration to move forward with this resolution and settle the matters with Clear Channel. And I recommend it for passage to my colleagues.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Resolution number 2013-0171, a resolution making an award on requisition number 27969 to the architectural firm of Cooper Carey Incorporated, authorizing the county executive to negotiate, enter into, and execute an initial 90-day contract with Cooper Carey Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $1,500,000, and to execute all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
To adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Shrine and seconded by Mr. Miller. Mr. Shrine?
Thank you, Madam President. This is the first step in the concept that was discussed earlier in our Committee of the Whole, and it was also discussed in the economic development of the hotel project. I think this is the cornerstone for what's really going to differentiate our convention center by having the convention hotel on that northwest corner. It's going to be a landmark event, and I really think, though this does not mean we are past the point of no return, it means this is this first step in which we're going to progress with the design architects. And I encourage my colleagues to support this.
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Madam President, my colleagues, I take this vote on the architects very seriously. It puts us squarely on the path of building a headquarters hotel. I just don't see us spending $1.5 million and then walking away. My yes vote reflects my conclusion that we should build a headquarters hotel and that we should own it. The hotel involves significant risks, but there's no risk-free solution. In my opinion, spending $400 million plus on a convention center and health innovation center and not having a headquarters hotel is a much bigger risk. So that's why I'm voting yes on the architect contract.
All right, any other questions on this? This was discussed at great length in the Economic Development Committee, as Mr. Shrine pointed out, and there was discussions about the choice of the architect, and there was a great, so if anyone's interested, they can always go back and listen to that tape.
And I do want to point out that there will be, as we unfold into the various different segments, as these contracts unfold, we encourage the public to be part of it, because you're going to hear about other aspects of it from the operators, from the brand, from all of these things as they unfold as we move along in this contractual process. So it's an open process. We encourage everybody to participate. I think there were 70 people at the event last week, where there was a lot of good designs and conversations that took place, that the architect came in and listened. Thank you.
All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, item 0173.
Resolution number 2013-0173, a resolution approving the adoption of various changes to the Cuyahoga County non-bargaining classification plan and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Moved by Ms. Connell, seconded by Mr. Shrine. Any discussion on this?
Yes, Madam Chair. This resolution is to approve some changes to the non-bargaining classification plan for the Department of Public Works. It will add 2 new classification positions and revise 2. And this committee asked for approval from the full council. It was explained in committee that one of the positions is needed right away, and that is the reasoning why it is on second reading suspension.
All right, any other questions or discussions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. 0174.
Resolution number 2013-0174, a resolution authorizing amendments to contracts with various providers for placement services for the period October 1, 2011 through December 31, 2013, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendments and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective. And this is for all the contracts and providers and all the terms that are listed on the agenda, items D1 through 3.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion on these items?
Yes, Madam Chair. This resolution authorizes amendments to multiple board and care contracts for the abused and neglected children in the custody of the Division of Children and Family Services. These are mandated services, and the contractors provide varying levels of care depending on the child's needs, so that in itself is how the children might be at one facility and not another. The funding is 29% federal and 71% comes from the HHS levy. And I ask this committee to pass this resolution forward.
All right, any other questions or discussions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Okay, moving right along, we're at item 19, consideration of a resolution for third reading adoption.
Resolution number 2013-0101, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires widening and reconstruction of East 105th Street and intersecting streets from Quincy Avenue to Chester Avenue, Phase 1 Opportunity Corridor in the city of Cleveland. Total estimated construction cost, $44,475,196. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement, authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement of cooperation with said municipality in connection with said project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion on this?
Madam President, the Opportunity Corridor has been a project that's been on the table and in discussion for probably decades. The county owns this portion of the road, and it runs from just the street just east of Cleveland Clinic to just east of the new Juvenile Justice Center. Again, it will be widened to a 5-lane road, 2 northbound lanes, 2 southbound lanes, and a turning lane. No concrete median as we have on Euclid Avenue, just a turning lane. Now this project, what I see about this project is that there will be an opportunity. It's in the heart of the healthcare industry, University Circle area, healthcare companies, and there will be an opportunity for economic development along this road. We've seen the biotech companies that appear along Euclid Avenue. We will have an opportunity for more of those with this type of road work. And many in the community at times have been critics of the project, but the community is coming around and is supportive of the project overall. The one point that I like to champion and always point out is that there will be job opportunities as a result of the road work that's done here over time with the Opportunity Corridor. And the community needs to recognize the fact that with workforce development that the county offers, there will be opportunities to train for the jobs that come along with with these types of projects. And that is a message I think needs to be championed and sent out to the community. So it runs through a heart of a community that needs job opportunities, and we can train and prepare the residents for this opportunity. So it's a win-win for everyone. And I again ask my colleagues to support this leg of the Opportunity Corridor.
Madam President, I just wanted to say that I'm going to support Phase 1. I don't know where I stand on Phase 2, but I think these two can be separated. I think we can have one without the other.
I feel the same.
On that point, it was told to us that this part of the project is a needed part anyway, regardless of Stage 2. So this Stage 1 work is something that we would need regardless.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, item 20, consideration of ordinance for first reading referral to committee.
Ordinance number 2013-0020, an ordinance enacting Chapter 712 of the Cuyahoga County Code to establish the Cuyahoga County Lodging Excise Tax Code of Regulations effective October 1, 2013, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
This item will be referred to Finance and Budget, and I was just kind of conferring with Mr. Schron. I think I'll leave it in Finance and Budget and encourage as many council people to come, and also encourage those in the hospitality industry, because I'd like to get a clear understanding. This ordinance would require the paying of the excise, this bed tax on comped rooms. And so it's really a matter up for debate, so we'd certainly like to hear from the public, and we'll place it on the Finance Committee. All right, item 0021.
Ordinance number 2013-0021, an ordinance enacting Chapter 713 of the Cuyahoga County Code to establish various dog license fees effective December 1, 2013, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
I'm referring this to the Finance and Budget Committee, and can I bring my dogs in on that day? This is, we're kind of mandated because of the Ohio legislature changed the law on this, so there'll be the opportunity to buy like a lifetime dog license, a 3-year dog license, and money will be going to, like, I think we have to send like $1 of every license to the Ohio State Veterinary School. We're going to send them money. They need to send us back some services. So once again, we'll hear this in Finance and Budget.
Here, yeah, if I'm not able to attend that committee, but, again, we're losing some of our home rule with this because this dog license fees is what fund our kennel, and now we're losing part of our funding to go down to the university, which I personally, as this council person, sits here. We need every dime for our local kennel here, so I'm not really happy with the mandate again of losing some.
Lifetime dog license. I mean, how do you know it's the same dog?
Lifetime of the person or the dog?
Lifetime of the dog. That's a good point. I guess it's lifetime of the dog. So I don't know. Yeah, I have these reincarnated dogs, so they buy one license for life. Okay, any miscellaneous committee reports?
Madam President?
Yes.
Madam President, the Finance and Budget Committee is going to meet at our regularly scheduled time next Monday, the 19th at 1 o'clock. And we have a lot of stuff. We have the lodging tax, we have the land bank DTAC funding, we have the audit, we have the dog licenses, we have the bi-monthly, we have the infrastructure investment issue, we have the financial policies. And so since nothing got referred to economic development, I'm going to let everybody know that we may well meet for more than 2 hours in the hopes of not having to have all the meetings in September where there seem to be some schedule conflicts. So we're getting warmed up for the budget hearings.
And just to interrupt, Mr. Miller has sent out, and you're going to bring that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I also sent out a preliminary schedule for the budget hearings. It can be revised and changed, and so I'd like everyone, if you have issues, conflicts, procedural concerns, whatever, please let me know by next Monday, because we need to adopt and get moving on a schedule, but I want everybody's input. Thank you.
Any other, Mr. Brady?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairperson. The Health and Human Services Committee will meet at 1 o'clock on August the 22nd, take up the items that were introduced at 21st. That's right, we changed that day, didn't we? Yes, August the 21st, that's what I meant, at 1 p.m., and to take up the items that were introduced this evening.
All right, anything else, anyone else?
Public Works will meet 2 hours before the Health and Human Services at 11 o'clock, August 21st.
All right, any other miscellaneous reports or miscellaneous business?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'm going to be out of town on a family vacation the 17th through the 25th, so I want committees that I'm a member of conscious of the fact that I won't be in attendance next week. Secondly, I put a packet in all the mailboxes with the NAMI walks information. NAMI, of course, is for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I've been able to participate in this walk for the last several years, and it gets quite a big support of people. And of course, this coalition is going to be very supportive of our Health and Human Service levy. If you cannot walk that day, I would just encourage council members to be there at 9 o'clock. They have a little program before the walk, and I think it would go on a long way of helping us kick off the Health and Human Services renewal.
Where do we, where is?
It's Voinovich Park.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
just one miscellaneous thing. As my colleagues are aware, every year I put on a charity softball tournament to raise money for CERT. This year, as last year, our county sheriff's department is participating, so I'll post the time and schedule. It's going to be in North Olmsted. If anybody would like to cross 2 rivers and participate and watch our sheriff's department, they would appreciate it.
Okay, any other miscellaneous business? All right, has anyone signed in for public comment unrelated to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. Several people have signed in to speak, and it is in regards to, I believe, the library. And the first speaker is Fran Mensch, then followed by Tina, and I'm so sorry.
Mr. Carchi.
G.
You know, you folks are welcome to come up and speak, but these decisions were made by the library board. Council is really not in the opportunity, has an opportunity to change these things. So you're welcome to come up and speak, but I'm not sure there's a whole lot we can do for you. Okay, all right.
And then the third speaker will be Sean Barron.
Mr. Carchi used to be my public defender. So. I said she used to be my public defender. Not when I was charged with a crime, but in court. Come on, Ms. Mitch. The clerk will pass them out for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just divided them, at the same time. Thank you. I ask that you bring all stakeholders.
Done.
Did I change your mind? I ask that you bring all stakeholders to the table, including the school board, NAACP, churches, and members of the community to establish a plan to keep the South Euclid-Lyndhurst branch of the Cuyahoga County Library in Telling Mansion. The County Library Board is a very independent body, but you appoint them, so you have the right to remove them. I am asking that you talk with them about their fiscal irresponsibility and their disrespect for the democratic process, and ask them to take Telling Mansion off the market and to conduct a community survey. Fiscal irresponsibility. In November 2008, voters in Cuyahoga County passed a $2.5 million operating levy for the library. Only 20 months later, in August 2010, the board unilaterally issued $75 million in notes that indebted Cuyahoga County taxpayers for $175 million. This $175 million also counts against the borrowing limits of every city in the county. Issuing notes broke with the library's tradition. Libraries use levies to fund capital projects This board knew from surveys that the community would probably say no to a capital funds levy, especially so soon after the last one that was passed, so they did not put a levy on the ballot. As one citizen described it, this is another one of those invisible commitments. They didn't ask us because they knew we would say no. Proof that this was what transpired is contained in the document that I distributed to you, an article in the August 2010 Bond Buyer that reports on the issuance of these notes, in which the Cuyahoga County Public Library Board, or the library, CFO, Scott Morgan, is quoted as stating, essentially, we knew that it wouldn't pass in the survey, so we decided to do a system-wide, the municipalities wouldn't support it, so we decided to do a system-wide funding, issuing these notes. You also have documentation, an email from the Cuyahoga County Public Library obtained from the administrative assistant via public record that states that the library held no community meetings regarding South Euclid Lyndhurst Library. So, without any community discussion and without a single vote, citizens of Cuyahoga County were indebted for $175 million. The library board also made the unilateral decision to sell Telling Mansion, a building on the National Register of Historic Places and an Ohio landmark. The board is currently negotiating to sell it for $755,000 from the public, who's held it for 60 years and paid for it, to one private citizen. It cost $700,000 to build Telling Mansion in 1930, and the board spent $1.5 million in 2002 and 2003 to renovate Telling. Now, 10 years later, the board wants to sell it for one-half that amount. It would fetch more money than $755,000 if it were sold on eBay for parts. Thank you very much, and I would like to submit a copy of my remarks and accompanying documents so that they can be included in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tina Tricarci, and I'm a resident of Lyndhurst, Ohio, and I'm a proud employee of Cuyahoga County, but I'm not speaking as a county employee, but rather as a very concerned resident of this county. This is addressed to the entire county council, not just my representative, and this is why I'm responding to what you said a little bit. I've been involved with the Save the Telling Mansion as a library for quite a time now. And despite what the popular line is, I do not believe it is a done deal. And now more than ever, I am not convinced that you, the county council, can do nothing further about this matter. This is not just about South Euclid Lyndhurst. It is about the county as a whole. Because there is a disturbing pattern exhibited by your Cuyahoga County Library Board, my board too, appointments to which you approve or disapprove, as I understand. As I understand, they're 7-year terms, and the county exec, formerly the county commissioners, appoints 4 members. And I don't know if they're staggered. They may be staggered, I'm not sure. And the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas judges as a whole appoint the other 3. So in light of the fact that I think you have the ability to approve or disapprove when someone's up for reassignment or reappointment or appointment in the first place. But here's the pattern I want you to know about. There's 8 cities I know of across the county. We're talking West Side. I'm not talking about Cleveland. I know they have an independent library system, as does Cleveland Heights. But in Parma and Parma Heights, in Mayfield Heights and Mayfield Village, in Olmsted Falls and Olmsted Township, and finally in South Euclid and Lyndhurst, when this master plan came out and there was decisions made by the library board, there was a lot of disturbed citizens of each of those cities that expressed concern about their decisions, locations, building, all kinds of things like that. They have been very dismissive to citizens in all of those cities. And the last one happens to be South Euclid Lyndhurst. And I just happen to live in Lyndhurst. So I have an even more concern here. Because it's not completely done, and some of these other decisions are done, and we can't in any way ask anyone to see about overturning or reconsidering or anything like this. The reason why this isn't done yet is actually there's been a couple of county library board meetings where they've table the voting on this purchase agreement that is a draft with this man who wants to make it a porcelain museum. I don't know if you've read about him, Mr. Barone. A colleague of mine, well, first of all, before I say that, I know that you as county council, and I know the county executive who has gone now, and everybody else elected to the present county government is concerned about transparency. I know that's really important in light of our issues with prior county government. And there hasn't been transparency at all with this library board. One of my colleagues was looking up in the Ohio Revised Code about the powers and rules about public library boards. They are boards that have almost virtually unfettered power, one of the least restrictions on boards in this state.
Okay, if you could wrap up, your 3 minutes are up.
Okay. I believe they feel they are unaccountable. I was going to speak about the levy. Fran already spoke about that subverted the will of the people. I asked you to go back to your constituents and ask them how they feel about the library changes. Not just people who live in our system, but live in the county. But actually, you know what you could do? You talked about being consulted. The judges were consulted about the parking. Well, we weren't consulted at all. And I'm not asking you to tell them to switch their decision or whether you can do that, but you certainly could pass a resolution if you examine what they've done to these cities and how they disregarded them and they've been fiscally irresponsible. Lyndhurst, and I'll end with this, Lyndhurst City Council was not even notified about the decisions that were going to happen with South Euclid Lyndhurst Library. They sent information to Mayor Wheelow in South Euclid, the South Euclid Council, and Mayor Cicero in Lyndhurst. You know what? They didn't send a letter at all to Lyndhurst City Council. That's why they passed a resolution a couple weeks ago that says take our name off this next library building if it's built.
If you'd like to wrap up, Mr. Carty.
Yeah, this is not representative government. I understand the concept of representative government. You do have a role in this board, and you can have them pay attention to something. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will consult with the law department about any procedural changes that we can make. All right, is someone else signed in?
Hi, my name is Sean Barron. I'm from Lakewood, Ohio. And I urge you to use your influence, regardless of whether you say you can do anything or not, to reconsider or to help the Cuyahoga County Library System to reconsider the decision to leave the current facility housing the South Euclid Lyndhurst branch. Such a building, I believe, will continue to serve the library system and the community for many years in ways that a modern building cannot. And I believe that it will do so despite the unknown and inevitable changes in all forms of media. Why abandon their crown jewel with great history and connection to the community? Leaving the Telling Mansion is akin to the Cleveland Public Library System vacating a Carnegie Library, which would never happen. Such a building will continue to serve the community as a gathering place, even if books as we know it go away, and it cannot serve the public in the same way if it is in private hands.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order? Our next meeting is on August 27th at 5 o'clock. We shall be having a committee meeting at 3. Mr. Jimena?
Can I make a comment about the library?
It's up to you.
Well, Madam Chair, since Parma and Parma Heights, where it was brought up, I can tell you that in both of those situations, there was a lot of public interest. And, you know, I was at the meeting at Parma Heights City Hall, where the library director and the board presented it, what they were trying to do, and the same happened at Parma City Hall. So, I mean, there were public meetings, and the people were there. So, I'm just very surprised that in why they would be having very public meetings, very well advertised in certain parts of the county, and you're making it sound like they didn't have the public meetings.
I gave you a document from them. I gave you a document from them stating they did not.
I'm just surprised.
Can I address one answer to that? They had a public meeting.
I think you can talk after the meeting. This really is not a place for the public dialogue. We appreciate your comment. We appreciate the concern of every citizen that comes in and presents an argument, and we appreciate your concern about the library board. right, is there anything else for the good of the order? All right, we stand adjourned.